Hi, in this tutorial we're going to do a custom powers tutorial. If you want to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. And if you want to access the code or the assets of this tutorial or looking for help, you can check our Patreon in the description. Let's continue with the tutorial. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to do a custom powers, or in other words, a custom weapons tutorial. So this device gives you a good a base, a good foundation to work on top. So we have 5 powers implemented, and if you look at them, the asset wise, we just have UI textures that we show on the screen when you switch to a weapon using hood messengers. But if you look at the actual powers themselves, you can see that they have VFX pickup slots, and also, like, if they are, so for example, Ice Lock just freezes a player in place. So in that case, we also have a freeze VFX. But of course, you're not we are not using any VFX assets for this. We don't provide for them. But basically, it gives you a good base to build on top of that and put on your own VFXs if you have. And I could have actually just put a freeze VFX here for a placeholder, but since I'm going to test with NPCs, the NPC is not gonna pick that VFX up anyways, so I didn't put it in. But when it comes to the weapon VFXs, I have like glow VFXs, and we'll see while I switch between weapons, you'll see that VFX changing. So let me show you thoroughly how you set up this device. So you can set up a guard spawner for testing, and then you have you need to define the maximum amount of players that you're going to have in your game. And then we come to the powers, which all of them have some common parts. They also have some distinct parts. So Ice Lock, this just freezes the target in place. So you have the freeze duration in seconds, and then you have the freeze chance on hit. So I'll just use 100%. So 1.0 is 100%. And then the bottom part. So these 5 fields. These are common between all powers. So the VFX when you pick up that special weapon, and the VFX when you don't have it, is the remover VFX. So this is like, the same thing. So if you look at all the VFX power-ups, so it's infinite effect duration, it's responds at a 0 second. So we can also disable the ambient audio. So we have glow effect, but you probably, for your custom powers, you probably have like custom weapon meshes. So for that, you would just go custom effect and then put in your VFX here. And then for the remove one, we have the same thing. So for power up 0, so power up remove 0, we have the same thing, but it's just disables effect on pickup. So that's what it is. And then we have the conditional button for each weapon. So this is just basically, we are using the conditional button to know when the player is holding that weapon. So basically each conditional button just has the weapon that we want for this power. And the ice lock is about that. Now let's look at the Switchero. So Switchero is basically, it's this one. So it changes swaps the locations of the two players. So of course there's a so this is actually redundant. So let me, okay, we're doing a hotfix right now. So it's here. So this is actually redundant. We are not using that. So this is I was going to show the code later, but so this is the base class that we're using. So yeah, we have the swap distance. So it's just one. You might think to yourself, well, it just seems like stupid. One unit, that's like the player just needs to be like this close for it to work. But no, we also have a special flag here that says infinite swap distance. So I set this to true by default. So it means it'll just swap at any distance, right? Regarding of this value. But if you set this to false, it'll use this value. Then we have triggers on swapping trigger and on swap trigger to let you know when someone is swapped or someone is swapping themselves with someone else. You might think to yourself, we don't have a equivalent in here in icelock, but you actually have the freeze VFX pickup and remove VFX pickup. So basically, using the pickup event of these, you can actually do your own device stuff. Then yeah, we have the same stuff, the VFX pickups for the weapon, the conditional button, the hood messenger, which is just a text name of the skill and then the texture of the skill. Each of these we just set it on center left. They're shown for all the time. There's no duration, and the message recipient is the triggering player. All right, then we come to the switcher. Okay, switcher is done. We come to rift step. Rift step is just basically this one. So when you kill a target, you basically get teleported to their location. Again, you can set a cooldown seconds. You can set the distance, and again, we have that infinite distance setting like we have with the switcher. And then you can have the on rift step. So basically triggered when a player does a rift step. And that's about it. Then we have the ghost fade. So this basically makes the player invisible when they get a kill. So this is the chance of getting invisible after a kill. So it's 100% right now. And then we have two triggers on invisible hide, on invisible reveal. So I was actually going to put maybe on invisible VFX, on invisible hide VFX, and on invisible reveal VFX, but ended up just using triggers because they're more general, let you do whatever you want. So, and then we have the same other stuff: VFX pickups, conditional button, hood message, and the cooldown seconds. And the power shot. So power shot is going to knock back the target, and also it'll make it take some additional damage. Of course, it's adjustable. So knockback chance on hit. So again, knockback chance is 100% here. And then we have the additional knockback damage ratio. So this is the additional damage ratio, regarding relative to the original damage done to the player using whatever weapon. So you can actually set it to 1 as well. You can set it to 0 as well and do no additional damage. Then we have the same stuff, the common stuff. In here also we have unknocked someone back. So this is triggered with the player that knocks someone else, right? So this is the one that's actually doing the shooting. So this is the player that has the power shot. So if you think yourself, okay, then how I'm gonna get the event of when someone's getting knocked back. Basically, just use the movement modulators event. So it's just, yeah, use the on activation event for that. All right. So for this, if you want to, I'll just show you the code in a second as well. But if you want to get this from our Patreon, you can get the code directly. And asset wise, you will get these textures and also you will get these widgets. All right, now let's look at the code. So we have the enums defined for each custom power. Then we have a custom game action calls are defined. So this is a little trick we do to kind of block infinite function calls, infinite recursive function calls. I'll show that in a second. Then we have the agent data. So we keep some state for being frozen and being hidden. Then we have a reliable player index. This is like shout out to our first ever video. Then we define the current power, and then this is basically the allowed use time per power. So basically, this is like starting the cooldown for each active cooldown for each power. All right, now, by the way, now thinking about it, max players could be no. Okay, it's not redundant. So that's what we use for the reliable player index. Which let me check actually. Am I setting it properly? I might not be. So on player join, we get the reliable player index, and then we set it, and then we set the array to its new value. Okay, that seems cool. Okay, so we've seen all of these classes actually. We've seen the custom power base. So all of these are derived from the custom power base class, which have these common fields. And we've seen all of these, so I'm just skipping. Again, we've seen these as well. And then, okay, this is the agent map where we are storing the data for all the players and also for all the NPCs as well. Then we also, a game active flag, the reliable indexes, the spawn NPCs, we store them separately. When we want to loop over everyone, we use this array as well. And then custom powers. So we usually, because when using these common stuff, we don't want to reference these classes separately. So we can just reference them the same way using the base class. So that's why this is just a base class array. And then we are putting all those derived classes in it. So at the onBegin, we listen to the, usual events, the added events, the removed events, and for the NPC, the spawned and eliminated events. Then we do we spawn the async weapon detect tech. So this is like the main async function that determines which weapon you are holding right now. So basically, it loops on all the players each like 100 milliseconds, and looks at the current weapon you're holding, and sets the index of that, and looks if did you have a weapon already? If so, it's going to revert back its effects, and then it's going to set the new one. Or if it's just you didn't have anything else before, it's just you just have a new thing. If you don't have anything right now, but you had something before, so this is just going to remove the existing thing, the previous existing thing, and just clear out the state. So on end, we just set the flag, because on our async functions we break the loops according to the value of this flag. So when a player joins, we come to the Yeah, we listen to the damaged event, so important. It's important to listen to the damaged event and also damage shield event. We get the reliable player index from the array, basically a unique identifier. So we then fill that data to the map. And in the create agent data function, so we are just it's almost as if we're just creating the class directly, the object directly. But additionally, we just fill in the allowed use time per power to 0. So basically, it's free to use at the start of the game. At the on NPC spawn, we do the same thing. We just don't get a reliable agent index, and that's all. And we also add the agent to the spawn NPCs array. And when a player leaves, so we just get their reliable index back into the array. And when an NPC dies, so we just remove them from the NPCs array. And when a player is damaged, okay, this is actually not just players, also NPCs as well. So here it comes useful. So custom causer. So if the game action causer of this package is the custom game action causer, the class that we have defined, we are returning immediately, because so the Fortnite itself cannot send us a game action causer with this class because we defined it. Only we can send it, which we do in one or two places, I guess. So it's in here. So when we are sending a damage packet with the knockback damage, we send it using the custom game action causer. So think about it. If we didn't have a custom game action causer here, so if it was just something else, and like we didn't have a stopping condition like this, then it would just keep calling itself, right? Because we would have the power shaft weapon in hand, it will call the damage, and damage is going to do a damage, and it's going to call this function again, it's going to do it again, and it's going to enter an infinite loop. So we don't want that. So we need a breaking case for it. So this is what we do. Simple enough, very simple thing. Just, oh, did we send this image? Basically just marking the package as like, oh, I sent this, so don't go any further. So that's what we do. We get the usual stuff, the instigator stuff, the target stuff, all that data and objects that we need to use here. So we get the index of the power that we currently hold. Then we look like, can I use any can I use the power that I'm holding right now? Like, is it active? Is it on cooldown? If it's not on cooldown, I'll just get it. And then for each of them, I do their own logic in a case statement. I also have a flag. It says be power used because some of these are based on chance and based on some conditions. Maybe if they're not met, I'm not going to use them. But if I use them, I'm gonna fill in the cooldown value. So when it comes to the ice lock, I look for the like the random chance if it hits. If it does, I'm also want to make sure I don't refreeze the player if it's already frozen. And then, I just freeze it. So I just put it in stasis and pick up the freeze VFX. And I then call the late ice lock release, which waits for some time. And when it ends, it just releases the player from the freeze. The switcher row, it just calls this function swap. It was a rather large one, so I made it another function. So it's basically gets all the other players in an array. So in this one, I also then add the NPCs on top as well. Then we do so for all of these players, other players, using the view location direction of this instigator agent, we are sending rays, basically doing a ray sphere intersect calculation for the locations of each of these targets. And for the one that we hit, actually for the first one that we hit, we just swap with them. And so in here, what we use is the ray sphere intersect. So it's just a little function, basically, just looks at the angle distance between the ray direction and the direction vector between the ray origin and the sphere. So basically, it tries to find. So it constructs it's a fairly known formula, but it constructs a quadratic formula from that. It finds its roots, and if it has roots, then you have your t value, which is basically your step, I believe. If you have a valid step, basically, so you have a hit, and we teleport each of them, then we trigger the on-swapping and on-swap triggers. Then we come to the rift step. So this is more simple. So if the player is dead, then we just look at the distance, right? But of course, if it's infinite distance, we don't care about the distance, and we just teleport the instigator there. So the ghost fade, so we look at the chance again, and we make sure the instigator is not hidden right now. So, and we look if the target is killed, and then we just hide the player, and then we late reveal the player. So what does this does is sleeps for the duration of it, and then it tries to do a reveal. So it is trying, because if you swap your weapon, then it's going to reveal the player early. So if you look at where the other place is being used, so if you happen to switch off from your ghost fade weapon, then it's going to reveal you, and try to reveal you if you're already hidden. So actually, this duration may not be fully used if the player switches their weapon. And so then we come to the power shot, which again looks for a chance. And then so what it does is make sure to rotate the movement modulator. So movement modulator's forward rotation is the same as the instigator's forward vector, forward rotation. So that and then and then also let me show you that's actually important. I don't know how I missed that, but so you make sure you can uncheck this. Obviously, you set the movement modulator to apply impulse, and then you set your forward impulse. And then the important thing here is that if you want to test it with NPCs, make sure apply to non-player character, and also this is the default value. In the default value here, do you have this checked? We want to uncheck this, right? Apply remote impulse relative to player direction. No, we don't want to do that. We want to apply it relative, just using the movement modulator's direction. So you need to uncheck that. So we align the forward of the movement modulator with the forward of the instigator, so that basically the target is knockbacked, right? That force basically added to the player to their backwards direction, and then we deal that additional damage if we have any, and that's it. So that's the bulk of the custom powers just happening inside this damaged event. I already showed this one. already showed these ones as well. Yep. Um, yeah, then we have utility functions for the enum. And yeah, that's all actually. We we didn't go from top to bottom 100%. We jumped around a little bit, but yeah, that was all. So let me scroll slowly so you can see all of it. Yeah, okay, that's the detect tick. Then we come to the damaged event. Then we come to the, that those small events. Then we come to on begin. Then we come to our variables. Then our data definitions. The enum and yeah, that's about it. So let me show you how it plays out. Okay, so now I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna get my 5 weapons. Okay, so as you can see, the moment I switch to them, you can see the hood and you can see the VFX on me. And I can just, scroll between the powers. And if I shoot him, he's going to be knocked back. And if I ice lock him, he's just gonna, he's in stasis right now. And I can just do a switch, right? And I can do a rift step. So, or let me just do a ghost fade. So I killed him, so I became invisible. But if I just switch to another weapon, I'll be shown revealed early. And if I kill him with the rift step, so I'm teleported at his location. And yeah, that's how the entire thing works. As I said, it has a powerful base that you can build on top of. It basically exposes all the important like event steps. So when like something is happening, when something is ending, you get to know all of that information. And so yeah, that was all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And leave a comment on what tutorial you would want to see next. All right, see you later.